Okay, so dividing polynomials. So we can apply the steps for long division. To divide polynomials. So the first thing we're going to do is review about dividing. Okay. Now I want you to think way back when you were learning division, third grade, whenever that happened. We had a special name for that numerator. Anyone remember? Dividend.
In sixth grade, Miss Johnson used to say the top of foster the real time takes the bottom out.
Hey, whatever works.
She was mean.
All right. Right now we're concentrating on this. What do we call that denominator? Divisor. Okay. So the old algorithm we all learned was the divisor went here and the dividend went inside. Now let's kind of recall how does this work? Does anyone recall?
The first two digits.
Mhm. Yeah. So let's look at those first two digits. And 16, does it divide into or go into 19? Once. Okay. So that would be 1 times 16 is 16. Yeah. And that would be 3. Bring the 8 down. How about, now we're 16 into 38? 2 times. 2 times 16 is, yeah. And that would give us 6. And sometimes we would do this, remember? At least I did this. And so how many times would that be? 4? And that's exactly 64. So no remainder. So the answer was 124. So that's basically everything we did there. And how did we know that that was the right answer? What could we do?
Multiply the quotient and the divisor.
Yeah. Multiply the quotient with a divisor. So basically 124 times 16 would equal 1,984. So we would use multiplication. So this method actually works with polynomials. And so that's our goal for today, is to practice this. Okay, so here we have x squared plus 4x, and we're going to divide by x. And it's the same idea. Okay, so we want to figure out how many times does x go into x squared, just that first term. Well, what would I multiply? X times what? X. Yeah. X times x is x squared, so we want x squared. And then the thing is, we want to subtract. So usually what we do, on this one it's not as bad. After you write your term positive or negative, you then flip the sign. You apply the subtraction. You do inverse addition. So I'm going to do that. And so that would cancel, right? It's 0. So we bring down 4x. So now I say x times something, x times this something gives me 4x. 4. And it's positive 4, right? So I'd put a plus 4. And then 4 times x gives me 4x. And then I apply the subtraction, do the opposite basically. And that's 0. Okay. And, well, usually I would cross that out too. And my remainder is 0. So the answer again would be x plus 4. And of course, if I multiply x times x plus 4, I'd get x squared plus 4x. Okay. All right. So let's go through the steps. Let's go through these steps, guys. Okay. Well, first we divide the dividend by the first term of the divisor. Divide the dividend by the first term of the divisor. Then multiply the divisor by the term, right? Yes. Subtract and bring down the next term. So it's the same steps only with polynomials that we did before with actual numbers. Okay? All right. So let's quickly practice this a little bit. First, we'll get actual answers that give us. Just moved on me. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's do some dividing. All right. So what would I put here? What's
3x.
Yeah. That's my divisor. So that makes 9x squared plus 12x. My dividend. And here we go. Well, let's figure out 3x times what gives me 9x squared? 3x. So that would be 3 times 3 is 9. 9x squared. And then we apply the minus. Cancel. Oh, I forgot the x here. Sorry. So bring down the 12x. So 3x times what gives me 12x? 4, so plus 4. Okay. And 4 times that is 12x. Apply the minus. You get 0. So it looks like we got 3x plus 4. Okay. Now we check it. If I take 3x and multiply it by 3x plus 4, does it equal 9x squared plus 12x? Okay. All right. Let's try something a little more challenging. So this time we're going to see how many times 5x goes into 5x cubed plus 25x squared minus 10x. Okay. All right. So let's start with 5x times something gives me 5x cubed. X squared. Yeah, this times this would be 5x squared, exactly. Or 5x cubed, I should say. X squared times x is x cubed. So let's subtract. And yeah, that cancels. I guess I should put down that it cancels. We'll bring down 25x squared. 25x squared. So now 5x times something gives me
2x. No,
Five.
2x.
5. 5 times 5, yeah. So 5x, we can always fix it if that's not right. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. Okay. Now we bring down negative 10x. So what would I multiply 5x by to get negative 10x? Negative 2. I want negative 2. Well, take a look. Negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. And this is the first one where we actually have to flip the sign to a negative. Once you write down what you get, you have to apply the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 10x? Yeah. Okay. And that would give us 0. So we get a 0 remainder. So the quotient is x squared plus 5x minus 2. And then to check it, we'll see, okay, if I multiply 5x times x squared plus 5x, take away 2, I will get 5x cubed, it'll be cubed, plus 25x squared minus 10x, which is what I wanted. Okay. What's different about number 3?
It doesn't have like a number minus 6.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also got a negative there. No big deal. It's just a negative, nothing to worry about. So our divisor is negative x squared. And we're going to divide negative 4x cubed plus 5x squared. Okay? And I wrote that a little bit too close to that problem. Okay. Well, let's take a look. I have negative x squared. What do I multiply negative x squared by so I get negative 4x cubed? Let's try it. 4x times negative x squared would be negative 4x cubed. Okay? And I'm subtracting these. So I flip the sign. They're opposites. They make a 0, which is actually what I wanted. So now bring down the next one, which is positive 5x squared.
Negative 5x.
So now I got to figure out what do I multiply negative x squared? Negative 5. Let's try it out. Let's try negative 5. Negative 5 times negative x squared would be positive 5x squared. Yeah. And again, apply the negative. This time, since it's positive, you apply the opposite. It's negative x squared. They cancel. We get 0. And that's actually what we want. So now we're saying our quotient is 4x minus 5. So if we say negative x squared, and we multiply it by 4x, take away 5, the answer would be negative 4x cubed. And then negative times negative is positive 5x squared, which is what we got to begin with. All right. Any questions? So far it hasn't been too bad, right? Where does it get a little tricky when you do this type of division? When you have multiple terms for your divisor. And then it gets real tricky maybe if we also have remainders. Yeah, but remember, you're on. But remember what happens when we did that. We'll get to those. Okay. So let's do this. This time our divisors have two terms. They're binomials. Okay. So let's divide. So we're going to say x plus 5. That's our divisor. And we're going to divide x squared plus 2x minus 15. Rather. Okay. So let's see here. Do the same thing. Just consider the first term in x plus 5. Okay? I just want to convert this, get rid of x squared. So what do I have to multiply x by to get x squared? Yeah, x. Okay? So we'll do x. So x times x is x squared. But then I also have to multiply x times 5. You multiply both terms by that possible quotient. So that's positive 5x, right? No biggie. Just write that down. Okay. And now we're going to do our opposite, right? We're going to subtract, so we'll do the opposite. So that's negative, and this becomes negative, right? Negative, negative. Well, x squared minus x squared, boom, that's what we want. How about 2x minus 5x?
Negative 3x.
Okay, that's what we want. Negative 3x. And then bring down the minus 15 now. Okay. Any questions on that? You have to multiply this divisor by both of them, write it down, and you might have something else coming down. Okay? We okay with that? Okay. Let's just do the next step. What do I have to multiply x by? Again, this x, just worry about the x. X times what gives me negative 3x? So minus 3. Just minus 3. Now we're going to multiply minus 3 times x plus 5. So negative 3 times x. Well, negative 3 times x first. Negative 3x, which is what I want. I want the exact same thing. And negative 3 times 5, negative 15. Okay, so let's do this. And we get a little lucky because when we flip the sign, right, this is plus now. They both cancel. Yay. So our remainder is 0. So the quotient, our quotient is just x minus 3. Okay. So that one wasn't too bad. No remainder. Okay. So let's do another one. This time we're dividing 6x squared. Let me write this down. 6x squared plus x minus 2. We're dividing that by 2x minus 1. Okay? Same process. All we're worried about is 6x squared. 2x and 6x squared. Just focus on that. What do I have to multiply 2x by to get 6x squared? 3x. We'll start with that. You got to remember to multiply that 3x by the binomial, the whole thing. So of course this is going to give us 6x squared. Then 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. But of course, we want to come through with the opposites. So we want this negative, want that plus. Okay? Well, we're adding x with 3x. So it's actually 4x. Remember, we're adding the terms, not multiplying them. So 4x minus 2. Okay? Yeah, now we worry about 2x times what gives me 4x? 2. And it's positive, so we put plus 2. So it's 4x minus 2. And lucky for us, they're identical. So what's going to happen? They cancel. This becomes minus, this becomes plus, and they both cancel. And we don't get a remainder again. So our quotient is okay. So we get our answer. 3x plus 2 times 2x minus 1 would give us our answer there. 6x squared plus x minus 2. Okay. What's important? What is important to remember when the divisor is a binomial, like we've been doing?
Multiply the quotient by both of them.
Yeah, you got to multiply the quotient to both terms, because that's the most common mistake. Okay. So the most important thing is make sure to multiply the quotient to both terms. Okay. All right. So remember in the good old days, like when you were doing this in what was it, 4th, 5th grade? Yeah. And the integer, well, they were positive numbers in those cases, more than likely. So here it says when the integers do not divide evenly, the quotient will contain well, we could do it as a decimal, but at first we did them as remainders. Quite often we would say, okay, the remainder, and then we would take the divisor and and that's actually what we're going to do here. The same is true with polynomials. The remainder is written as a fraction. So I'm going to highlight this. The remainder is written as a fraction with the divisor and the denominator. And then you add the remainder as the final term in the quotient. So this last two sentences tell us exactly what we're going to do on the next 3 examples. Okay? Let me push this up. All right, so here we go. 10x plus 3, and then we're going to divide that by 5x. Let's do it. Vamos. We got 5x into plus 3. 10x plus 3. Okay. So the first part's not too bad, right? That would just be 2, right? 2 times 5x is 10x. And we apply our minus. This cancels. I get a 3. Okay. Now, 5x times what gives me 3? Can I multiply 5x times something to produce a 3? So this is our remainder. I was always taught to circle my remainder. I don't know about you. Were you a circle or remainder kind of person?
They just made us, for me, my remainder and sign.
Okay. I always circled my remainder. Whatever you remember. You know, some people put a little r. That's my remainder. So this is my final quotient. Let's write it. The quotient is 2 then plus 3 over the divisor, 5x. There it is. This is the remainder. And then the divisor goes there. They called it the denominator, but it's the same thing. Any questions? All right. So literally, if I multiply 5x times this, I would get 10x plus 3. It would still work out. All right, let's do it with something a little more meaty. Let's do it with this next one. Okay, so x plus 3 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. All right. So x times something gives me 2x squared. 2x. And that would be 2x squared plus 2 times 3 is 6. So now let's apply our negative or minus. That becomes negative. This becomes negative 6x. So these cancel, right? And what do I get? I get negative 9x. And then bring down the plus 1. Okay. So now x times what gives me negative 9x? Minus 9 then. So now let's multiply by minus or negative 9. So this is going to be negative 9x minus, well, it's a negative times a positive. Oh, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. Minus 27. But you are right. We are going to cancel. We are going to flip the sign on this. So now we apply the minus, right? That becomes positive 9x. This becomes positive 27. So 9x does cancel. But we get a remainder of 28. So let's write our quotient. What do we get? 2x minus 9 plus
2x minus 9.
x plus 3. X plus 3. Yeah, remember, it's always the divisor there. Okay? All right. Challenge time. Try it. Give it a shot. Okay, guys. So this is my answer. I just got to put together the quotient. So let's write down the quotient.
X plus 8 plus 4x minus 8 over 2x minus x.
Yes. That's a mouthful. X plus 8 plus now the remainder. The remainder is the messier part. We got 4x minus 8. X squared minus x. Okay. So that's about as messy as these get. All right. So here's the thing. For the problems we were doing like 4 and 5 here, these, we'll learn about factoring. And it's another, and once you master factoring, you'll want to use factoring over this method. But when they don't factor and you do have to do the division, this is what you got to do. Yes?
Oh, wait, there's a question about the second half.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Okay. So let's answer these two questions and we'll be done. Field for You is a company that paints the outline of a soccer football field on grass. Field for You is outlining a rectangular soccer field with an area of, 12x squared minus 25x minus 7 square feet. The width of the field is 4x plus 1. There it is. There's the width. Write an expression to represent the length. So we know the area is length times width, right? And they're giving us the width. So guess how we figure out the length? Yeah. You take the whole area and divide it by the width. So basically we have to divide. We have to figure out how many times 4x plus 1 goes into 12x squared minus 25x minus 7. And I'll just tell you because I want to make sure we have enough time. The answer would be 3x minus 7 feet. No remainder. Okay. All right. Number 11. The volume of a rectangular prism, is shown below, and it's x cubed plus 4x squared plus 8x plus 8 cubic centimeters, and that's the volume. So it's in cubic centimeters. The height of the prism is x plus 2. It's shown there. Write an expression that represents the area of the base. Use the volume. The volume is the base area times the height. Okay, so we want the base area. Okay, so that's another division problem, right? We're given the height, we're given the volume, we want to figure out the base area. So we have to figure out how many times x plus 2 goes into x cubed plus 4x squared plus 8x plus 8. And x squared plus 2x plus 4. So the area with the units is x squared plus 2x plus 4 square centimeters. Because we are talking about the area. And over here we should have said length equals that. Okay. So there's our answer. Okay.